As we consider recent global economic developments, the challenge of how to build a more diversified international financial system becomes a question of the times. As the world's second-largest economy, it is evident that China's influence on the world will continue to grow.
And whatever happens, I'm sure that in the future these ties and the trade between the European Union and China will remain very significant, and that the EU and China will remain one of the main trading partners.
Amid global challenges in economy and finance, China's story stands as a testament to resilience, adaptability, and forward-thinking leadership that contribute to the construction of a new international economic order.
China is a historical most successful story about the rise of a nation. Some countries in the Western world are afraid of challenges.
Join us this week as we explore the pathways to constructing a resilient international financial framework that supports future economic growth, and delve into the unique insights and contributions that China brings to the table. Only on BizTalk, only on CGTN.
Dear Mr. Governor Matolcsy, thank you so much for joining us on CGTN.
It's my honor to be a guest with you.
As a central figure in Hungary's economy for many years, how do you envision the relationship between China and Hungary in terms of economic and trade ties in the future?
Happily, I can easily say that it's an outstanding, long-lasting, well-rooted relationship. It started just 75 years ago, meaning that we are just celebrating the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, and we've got well-rooted, well-developed, and even faster developing relationship in many areas of life. Of course, economic and financial ties are very strong. We've got a very strong bond politically. That's the background and the single most important framework for all our relationships. And also, we've got intellectual and human very strong ties between China and Hungary, Hungary and China.
And in terms of deepening this relationship and building on the momentum, what are the priorities for you?
The priorities should be, on one hand, the former priorities, because we are a basis to develop our ties and connections. However, on the other hand, we've got some new avenues to open up the future. Firstly, and that's the first and most promising signal of the new era between China and Hungary, President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Orbán signed an agreement between the two countries, meaning that we elevated our relationship. So by now, we've got strategic cooperation. Only 5 countries worldwide are in this club, and Hungary is the single European country to be in that group. It's on one hand, it's a great honor to us, for us, and it's an appreciation of our work together. On the other hand, it means the opening of a new stage, a new era. For instance, it's not pure coincidence that just in the same years, in the last 3 years' time, a good deal of Chinese high-tech companies decided to invest in Hungary. Many more decided to settle down in Hungary and use Hungary. So they use Hungary as a platform for European, especially European Union member countries, projects and programs. So the new avenue is even an elevated, most sophisticated avenue, because it means that that partly will, of course, continue our traditional projects and programs. Partly, we open up the high-tech sector as an area for strategic cooperation, and it also means that we are going to strengthen our intellectual ties. So it is encouraging that the investments coming from China, the green technologies coming from China, and also the financial connections with the Chinese financial sector are getting even more developed, even more sophisticated.
Could you further elaborate on the cooperative areas in the financial sector, which is key to facilitating economic cooperation and trade flows?
You're absolutely right. Money, finance, capital, all these things are getting even more important in the future than they used to be. There is a reason for that. We have to, worldwide, we have to accelerate our transitions from the old world to the new one. For instance, the digital transition should be accelerated. The transition from a traditional energy sector to green energy sector should be strengthened and accelerated. The transition from an unsustainable economic order should be accelerated in the direction of a sustainable new economic order. It means that the all transitions are fueled in the end of the day by money, capital and finance. When it comes to the flourishing Hungarian and Chinese financial programs, we've got really good news. Out of the four largest Chinese commercial banks, two settled down in Hungary. Chinese Central Bank, the BOC, and the Hungarian National Bank, the MNB, built up a really very strong bond between the two central banks. We were the first in the continental European countries group to launch a local currency swap line. It happened in 2013. It means that one of the future main financial means, it's here, and between China and Hungary, and it proved to be instrumental to defending the unfavorable results of COVID, for instance, and the energy war, if I may put it in this way. Besides all these elements, we have already launched a program to develop the notion, the significance of renminbi worldwide and in Europe and within the European Union especially. So in 2015 we developed the renminbi initiative in Hungary, and we've got a really sophisticated program for that. Many more financial tools are at our disposal. For instance, we are the first country worldwide investing in the famous green panda bond. It's a win-win-win-win situation for all the participants. The world is getting even more complicated, more challenging, more well. These are not peaceful times, and we need friendship. We have to protect our former relationship, and we'd like to inform our partners in Europe and in the Western countries that Hungary and China and Hungary prove to be in the game of win-win-win-win, and it's fruitful for all of us to benefit from the rise of China. It's very flourishing to build on the new green high-tech technologies of China, and so on and so on.
There is a great example of this cooperative spirit, but there are increasing concern about trade fragmentation, and many economists have warned about the consequences. In your opinion, how can we better enhance global economic governance and drive growth and safeguard financial stability?
China is a historical most successful story about the rise of a nation. Some countries in the Western world are afraid of the challenges posed by China. But it's the wrong way to look at it from our point of view, from the point of view of Hungary. It's competition. It's a motivation. It's a motivating force. It's a new engine as far as the last 75 years concerned. So we have to benefit from the rise of China. So on one hand, we must be in the position, in our mindset to look at this rise as a good, promising thing. On the other hand, as for the European Union, there is a tendency for the European Union to be a fortress, to a castle, and just to close our borders and so on and so on. So we'd like to help our partners in the Western world, especially within the European Union, to change their mind about the future. It's not a fortress. The West is not a fortress. We are a unified world. All the new technologies unify us. All the new megatrends are unifying us. All our challenges tend to unify us. So we can't win alone. We can't repeat the same pattern. I mean, there are winners and losers. No, either all of us are winners or all of us, in the end of the day, can be losers. But no one wants to be a loser, of course. Thirdly, of course, we have to restructure the global economic and financial order. All the megatrends tend to lead to unification, to peace, to cooperation, and to mutual respect. However, there are fears from the incumbent world power that all others will be stronger, more successful. They are the winners. Now, either all winners or all losers in the end of the day.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank
Great
you.
insights.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN.
You're watching CGTN with the latest market-moving headlines from around the world.
Here on Biz Talk, we connect the dots, shedding light on the real stories behind the economic landscape. To better understand China's dynamism and the economies and rhythms of business, propelling new drivers of growth.
China.
Biz Talk, your window into China and the global economy. Only on Biz Talk.
"2024 is a big year for global financial institutions. That's because it marks the 80th anniversary of the Bretton Woods Conference, where today's international monetary system was formed. Over the past decades, the global economic landscape has transformed dramatically. China's over 40 years of economic opening up has propelled its GDP to surge more than 33 times, making it the world's second-largest economy. This year, the IMF and World Bank turned 79, but their financial capacities are falling short to support the needs of global development. The world is facing a pivotal moment with rising geopolitical tensions, increasing populism, slowing global economic growth, and accumulating financial risks. There is a pressing need to reconstruct and establish a diversified international financial system that can ensure global financial stability and support future economic growth."
Thank you so much for joining us, Governor. So could you tell us your main objective of your visit in China and what outcomes can we expect in strengthening economic ties between the two countries?
With China having a fantastic record of the last 5 decades of good policies and fantastic growth, and like doing so, it has also placed itself as a key player in the financial markets. On one hand, the reflection of the last 80 years since the Bretton Woods, how it has changed, and to think about the future design of the system for the years to come. Relationship between the Croatian National Bank and the PBOC is also very long-standing. We started long and good cooperation many years before, but particularly I would say since 2004, when at that time Governor Zhu visited Croatia with his associates. And then I visited China, then the deputy governor. So we had lots of exchanges, quite interesting discussions, particularly at that time, if I remember well, about the exchange rate regime, capital controls and things like that, Croatia's experience. And although the countries are very different in terms of the size, many things were of the similar interest in terms of the managing of the financial and monetary policies. Otherwise, the relationship of China and Croatia is very strong. The trade is almost 2 percentage points of GDP, which is a very significant one, and probably more if you look the indirect trade through the supply chains. We had a large investment which was done by the China Road and Bridge Construction Company of a major bridge recently in Croatia. Also investments in the energy production facilities, and there is certainly a further potential for the growth of the economic relations, particularly I would say in the areas of trade, energy sector, and tourism. Chinese tourists are now coming back to Croatia. They have been absent for 3 years during the COVID times, but we see them now coming back, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that. And of course, we also cooperate through the other international fora. recently also through the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which Croatia joined in 2021, and is looking to strengthen the relationship with the Asia also through that bank.
Talking about financial cooperation, of course, the exchanges between central banks is key to global financial stability. However, many economists have cautioned that fragmentation is increasingly posing a challenge to the world economy and as well as financial governance. What are your views on the priorities to enhance global economic governance?
From what we see right now is that in spite of the trade restrictions that we've seen emerging over the last years, the volume of the trade has been growing. And I'm pretty sure that as GDP grows, we will see further volume of trade growth in the future. But there has been some redirection of the trade to some extent. And that has included some other countries like Vietnam, Mexico, etc. And we might see some of these redirection flows in the future, but I think that the future of the trade is still bright, and as long as the economy grows, the trade will grow. For example, I was mentioning yesterday that much that I expect to see is particularly growth of trade in Asia. Why? Because if you look in the next 20-25 years, out of the 4 largest economies, 3 might be coming from Asia, and that will because of something which we call geography of trade, and that means that the trade depends on the size of the economy and the proximity of the economy lead to the particular increase of the trade in Asia, where we might see it happening most. And that is something which is most likely future development in the trade.
And in your opinion, what fiscal monetary policy cooperation are needed to fend off risks related to global financial stability?
I think that it's always good to learn from the past financial crisis, and there have been quite a lot of them. If you go to the 17th, 18th century, you had the tulip mania, then the South Sea bubble, then we had energy, oil price shocks, let's say in 70s, or dot-com bubble in 2021 when the technology, that is probably a bit less global because it was less in Asia, more in the West. However, when you look at all these crises that have happened earlier, they give a lot of lessons for the prudent monetary and fiscal policies. I'll primarily look into the monetary policies, financial regulation and macroprudential policies, which are the task of the central bank. And I would say that if one ignores the very strong, long-lasting upswings in the financial cycle, increase in the leverage, that usually leads to a crisis. So that is something that we've learned from the past, and we should be careful for that not to happen in the future.
Both China and Croatia are very innovative economies. In terms of innovation, what areas of collaboration do you see for the two countries to drive future growth?
I think that the innovation comes primarily through the companies who find ways to match their ideas and their demands. One area is, I think, also the energy sector, which I mentioned, where we already saw some interactions between the Chinese and Croatian economy. And the fastest growing industry actually in Croatia for the last 10 years is the IT industry. So I know also Croatian companies who have now come to the Chinese market, and I would guess that this is an area where we'll see more cooperation.
And you know that inflation and the fast tightening cycle are creating a lot of pressure for many economies. How is Croatia responding to this rate cycle? And what is your outlook of global economy in this context?
We are, of course, a part of the Eurozone since the beginning of 2023, so we went together with Eurozone countries through this tightening cycle, which was the fastest tightening cycle since the beginning of the Euro, 450 basis points in a short period of time. And I must say that looking from today's perspective, it worked actually very well, and it worked probably better than most of the people expected in the beginning. I would say that only a year ago, most of the people thought that bringing the inflation rate down from two-digit level through very rapid tightening of the interest rates would lead to the recession in order to bring down the inflation. We are now bringing down the inflation towards our medium-term target without the recession. The economy has slowed down, has stagnated, but we didn't really go into the recession, which is something that we call soft landing, and it should always be considered as a success for the monetary policy, bringing down the inflation from such a high levels. And the other thing is that many people were telling and repeating that during this type of the very strong tightening cycle, increase of the interest rates, something will break in the financial system. But luckily nothing happened, nothing broke, at least so far, and that I think should also be considered as a success, because it proves that the banking and financial system is now on more solid grounds than it used to be during the great financial crisis in 2009, which I mentioned before, and that we have learned the lesson from that crisis and therefore have a more stable financial system.
My last question is, President Xi Jinping just made a visit to Europe. How do you view this relationship in light of the recent developments, and how can the two sides further build on the past momentum and manage their differences?
China and European Union have built a very strong economic ties and relationships, trade, and whatever happens, I'm sure that in the future these ties and the trade between the European Union and China will remain very significant, and that the EU and China will remain one of the main trading partners. So there is a lot of, I would say, interest on both sides to develop these economic relationships further on the basis of equal treatment, fair trade, and this has been recognized by both sides, and in that sense the visit of the President Xi Jinping was also directed towards further development of this relationship. And I think that we should now build on the momentum in the future to further strengthen this relationship.
Do you think the trade frictions will threaten this relationship?
I think that we did see some trade frictions, but again, coming back to my first answer, we do see still increase in the trade. So the trade growth is ongoing, and hopefully it will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you very much.